Here for two races tonight. First at the Red Bull Ring here in Austria, and then we move over to Catalonia and for the Spanish Grand Prix. Two sprint races, 25% in length, and absolute carnage along the way. I am Zach Sweeney, bringing you through all the action here tonight. We have got a pretty sizable grid in store for us, and hopefully a ton of action to go with it, especially around the Styrian Mountains here for the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I do have to apologise. I am severely unprepared for this race, so I'm just pretty much going with the flow, absolutely winging it. I've only watched Ghost talk you through. Unfortunately, he's unavailable today, so you've got the lovely delight of putting up with me for the next hour or so. But we are here for the formation lap, and 18 laps is the schedule for today. I'm just going to have to turn my volume down. I do sincerely apologise, ladies and gents. I don't fancy being drowned out by the cars around us. But it is going to be Ted on pole in the McLaren. He's going to be joined by Aces on the front row. Then comes Lifebout and Scott's third and fourth with Tyr in P5. Motorpredats in P6 with Avi in P7. Then comes Rumac, Rick and Simps rounding off in 8th, 9th and 10th respectively. Amir in P11 with Dream P12. Nathan Clark P13 with Bluey at the back of the grid in P14. Been a while since I've commentated on him down there in the Alfa Romeo. No surprise that he's in last place at all, but certainly looking forward to some fantastic action here today. 18 laps, as I said, completely clear skies over the Styrian Mountains, so hopefully it's going to be an absolute dash to the finish line. In terms of tyres, unanimous on the soft compound tyres, the Red Bull Softs. They're going for an absolutely blitzing start for the first stint, probably going to around about 8 or 9 laps, swack onto the medium compound tyres and go to the end. That is providing we go green flag to the end. ESRL, sorry, that's always a mouthful, and I'm not quite used to saying it, especially with Blue on the grid. Do not count out a safety car at all. But yeah, as Ted rounds himself through the final couple of corners, 9 and 10, he'll round himself onto the grid, and we can get ourselves on the way for the Austrian Grand Prix here today. I certainly cannot wait at all. My first commentary here for ESRL. Of course, unfortunately there's only 14. We'd like to get the full 20, especially with our renowned Twitch streamer with Ethan Patterson on the grid. It's a shame that he's not here. I would have loved to commentate on him and see him absolutely skyrocket up the grid towards the front of the pack. However, that's unfortunately not the case, and we get Bluey instead, which honestly, it's not very fair. It's like Tesco meal deals being now like £3.50 or something like that. It's just not the best deal in the world, that's all. Same thing, we're getting Bluey on your grid. All the cars are lining up as we wait for Bluey once again to get himself in P14. The 5 red lights will come on, illuminate your screens, and then we're off for that dash towards turn 1. And then here we go. We are waiting for the 5 red lights to illuminate our screen. Ted on pole with Aces alongside. 5 red lights, the cars are revving up. And we're underway here for the Austrian Grand Prix. A fantastic start then from second place. Those Aces already barreling up the inside of Ted going into turn 1. Here comes Scott on the inside, having to defend from Lifebout and Tyr. Both of them try and go around the outside. Scott getting, being honest, Ted been absolutely swamped. Aces leads from Scott, Lifebout, Tyr and Ted nearly 4 abreast on this run up the hill towards turn 3. You can see Scott there on the inside. The Lifebout going to try and go the long way around as they all try and concentrate their way through. Bit of contact as Rick completely sends it on the brake. Bit of contact to the rear end of Avi as they now barrel their way down this second straight towards turn 4. It's a Mercedes 1-2 as Lifebout gets himself up into second place. Ted has been completely swamped from P1, and down the inside goes Avi, nearly into the back of the McLaren. The Alpine Multipredats and Rick trying to go side by side as we barrel our way once more towards the infield sections of turn 6 and 7. But Aces, a very substantial lead indeed up there in first place with Lifebout alongside Scott, Tyr and Ted round off the top 5 as we round off lap number 1 of 18 side by side between Tyr, the Haas and Scott in third place as well. Still waiting for this race to settle down a little bit. Yellow flags, unfortunately, through the first sector. Scott under pressure from Tyr as they go down in towards turn 1 and the Niki Lauda curve, if I do remember correctly. Side by side between the Williams and Nathan Clark and Multipredats once more into turn 1 to start lap 2. Unfortunately, it was Ted and Dream that had pretty poor starts, and they were the cause of that yellow flag on lap number 1. Tyr putting any pressure on Scott? Unfortunately not, as they try to hang on just about to the back of Lifebout. Rick up the inside of Avi, who's been mugged off by the Dutchman, absolutely flying towards the front of the field. Scott side by side with Tyr as Tyr just slingshots his way around the outside, ahead before the braking zone, fairly comfortable, and gets himself up into third place. Tyr on an absolute mad run now, 1.4 seconds to the car in front, and he's going to try and breach that Mercedes 1-2. Nathan Clark on the back of Avi, looking to the inside of turn 7. Unfortunately, that's not going to fabricate on this occasion as they run through turn turn 8 and towards turn 9. You can see the Mercedes of Aces leading the way. He's not actually in frame because he's that far in front. 1.8 seconds at the end of the second lap. Rick as well up the inside. Is that Scott into the barriers? I think it might well be, and indeed it is. Absolute heartbreak for the two McLarens as both of them have to take premature pit stops in this race. Nathan Clark on the back of Abbey as the drag reduction system, the DRS, has been enabled on this lap. Nathan Clark, the Williams, going to get the benefit of it in 5th place. Avi on the left-hand side, he's going to have to go the long way around. He's doing all the hard work. Also with the DRS, as they're just about hanging on to Rick behind. Side by side go the Red Bull and the Williams through turn 3. It's going to be the Williams that reigns triumphant on this occasion. And Avi's got to watch out for Meti Perez in the Alpine behind. Same too with Rumax in the AlphaTauri. But Aces and Lifeboat, complete domination out in front so far. No one really able to challenge him, though. Look out for the Flying Dutchman. It's Rick in the Ferrari. And well, you know, Rick, he's always going to be very quick. As long as he can keep it on the track, he's going to gain and gain and gain on anyone towards the front, guys. And of course, won a couple of weeks ago in the APPF1 Tier 1 Championship on the back of Tier towards turn 9. Not somewhere you real often see him move, but he's going to go for it to the inside as the Flying Dutchman gets the car stopped. Tier going to go the long way around. Keep him on. It's still side by side. But Rick's going to be able to consolidate that move once more. Another purple lap for Aces versus Kings. A 106.578. As Nathan Clark quickly beats that with a 106.2. He's also on a charge on the back of this train for P3 as well as the Williams, as Tier runs a little bit wide. Both of them going to get the benefit of the DRS. You'd argue that Rick, the Ferrari, is going to be vulnerable in this case. In fact, he is going to be, because Tier bows his way up the inside. Rick says, okay, you can do that. I'm going to try and go underneath. A bit of contact between the two, though, unfortunately. And yeah, absolute pleasure to be here, Speed, and welcome in Zuba as well. Wumax side by side with Moti Perez for P8. P7 they're fighting over, and unfortunately can't quite get himself around the outside. A penalty, unfortunately, for Rick, as he just extends a little bit too much, pushing the limits a bit too much, but he's fighting with Tier, and the stakes are high, so that's to be expected. Tier very wide through turn 6 into 7. Rick gets himself up the inside, completely sends it. Nathan Clark's going to say thank you very much, get himself involved. And to the outside, Bluey, well, no surprise there. And what did I say at the start, ladies and gents? If anyone's going to cause a safety car, it's going to be Bluey. Bounding their way into the pit lane goes Wumax as he goes into the pit lane for an early stop. Fortune, not many other people could really claim, because they were already past the pit lane when it was called out. Luckily for our two race leaders, they get a lap of clear air. And keeps everyone in check. Zuba commentating is certainly like riding a bike. You never forget how, unless you are stupid, which I'm sure is something that you've fallen victim to a couple of times. But no, I have still been in the commentary scene, just over on the PC side instead. So my first time back on PlayStation for a long while, but it's a pleasure to be here. I had a free time. Scott needed a commentator. I said, well, I'm available. I did promise him that if he ever needs me, I will try and make myself available. But Wumax on softs again, which is interesting, certainly very interesting, because yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I thought he'd go mediums to the end, similar to Scott, Dream and Ted, who've done the exact same thing, who've gone on to mediums. They won't have to make another pit stop, whereas Wumax will, in order to comply with the regulations. But are the top two going to come into pit lane? I didn't even notice that Lifebout's already on 2 medium tyres. I thought it was unanimous for the softs, but clearly not, as Lifebout and Ace is going to have to double stack. Have they got the gap to do that, or is that going to invite Rick to get himself into the mix? Potentially so, if Mercedes have to double stack. Well, they are going to have to. Only a couple seconds lost for Lifebout, but that could be all the difference. It could be life or death, especially at a circuit like the Red Bull Ring, where track position is everything. Bolting on the soft compound tyres to the end of the race. Same too with Aces versus Kings. Nathan Clark, Lifebout and Abbey all also going on to the softs. Where's Wumax in comparison to all of this? Back into the pit lane. That is clever. Mate, no, it's not. It's absolutely not clever. Why would you do that? Why would you come in twice? You should have put the mediums on second time. I thought he was doing something really clever there. No, he wasn't. He's coming in again to put on a fresh wing. So he's going back onto the softs again. Wumax, as much as I want to see you do well, and I do love seeing you do well, I'm vastly confused as to what you're doing. I'll be entirely honest, but each of their own, as Scott gets himself back inside the top 10, or does he, under the safety car, somehow manages to go wide? Not entirely sure, but hey ho, each of their own. It is Scott after all. I mean, I do say that. Wumax AI having an absolute mare. Oh, is it AI? That'll be why then. That will be why. Or will it? I don't know. But he's having an absolute mare, whatever it is. But, yeah, no. absolute pleasure to have everyone in chat. I say that, I think it's only Zuba, but absolute pleasure to have everyone in. Certainly do engage in the chat. It's a pleasure to be here. And while I am waffling under these safety car periods, something I haven't missed about commentating on the F1 game is when I'm by myself and there's a safety car, the waffle I have to do. Thankfully, I've done a fair share of endurance racing, so I do know my way around waffling a little bit. And that's very true. And it's something Wumax is going to be able to do. He's going to be able to start at the front for the next race. That's how things work. A reverse grid race for the second race in the Spanish Grand Prix. A circuit that you certainly do want track position. So Wumax, around the 300 IQ strat here. Still, unfortunately, under the safety car as Rick gets himself into second place. In fact, Lifebout's being completely mugged by not one, but two cars down into P4. So that Mercedes domination, maybe they have got a crack in their defences. And Lifebout's blunder in double stacking with his teammate of Aces might come back to haunt him just a little bit. 12 laps left to go in this race as we're around about a third of the way through lap 7 of 18. Rick's certainly going to try and pile on the pressure to Aces versus Kings. Both of them race winners. Both of them absolute tyrants in their own respectful rights. Neither of them have unfortunately won a championship yet though, so perhaps Tyrant might have to wait. That might be the title they're going to get when they completely dominate a championship. But hey, Aces and Rick, they certainly are two fantastic drivers. They are two that have given us some fantastic action in the past, and they are two drivers that I have certainly missed in terms of commentating on. Safety car is in this lap, so Aces becomes the effective safety car. He controls the pace as they round their way through the infield section. Short lap here at Austria, and it's all down to Aces to decide when the pack punches it, when he can get himself that margin, because 2 seconds is a fair margin at a track like the Red Bull Ring. He's going to want to get that back, but Rick, in that Ferrari, even with that penalty, is going to be one to look out for to win this race. Aces left to right, warming up those soft compound tyres. Not that they need it, but you certainly do want that bite, especially off a safety car restart. He's going to want to catch the Dutchman napping. Left to right like a snake. You can see everyone following in line, following suit. But when is he going to go? When is he going to flinch? He's got between now and the timing line to do it. Rick just needs to make sure he reacts. We're back on the green flag racing, and that's exactly what he's done. Rick caught napping 4 tenths between the two, but he's going to use that ERS, the energy recovery system, an extra 160 brake horsepower to push of a button to barrel his way back down the pit straight and keep himself in the mix. Nathan Clark also there in the mix as well. Aces going to be under a world of pressure as Rick certainly in the slipstream, certainly in that draft, and certainly going to try and put some pressure on. Not quite close enough down in towards turn 3 through the kink of 2 under brakes. And unfortunately not quite close enough. Lifebout as well being caught out on that restart. And he's got Avi for company fighting over 4th place. Sims, Amir as well getting themselves into a mixed stream. Unfortunately falling backwards. I think the two McLarens are going to try and swallow him up. I think Scott come in for mediums, come back in for softs to be absolutely rapid off this safety car restart. Nathan Clark has got in front of Rick. Sorry to miss that. Up the inside of turn 4, side by side between Lifebout and Avi. Avi going to go the long way around, side by side through turn number 6, and Avi's going to get that one stuck and gets himself into 4th place. Lifebout not getting the restart he would have wanted, despite having a fairly comfortable 2nd place in this race. Nearly halfway through, and it's Aces that leads from Nathan Clark. Rick P3 with Avi P4. Lifebout rounds off your top 5. Then comes Tim, Moti Perez, Sims, Wumax, Amir. Maybe even so, not so as Dream gets himself into the top 10. I think Amir has had enough, indeed so, into the pit lane. Then comes the two McLarens running off the field. Sims on the back of Moti Perez, who has to go defensive into turn 1. Sim's going to go for the old over and under, get the drive off the corner, the old textbook switchback. Unfortunately not quite got the drive, and the Alpine stays in front for now. No DRS in effect for at least another lap before it gets enabled. Then that's really when the fight's going to happen. That's really when you're going to see Rick and Nathan put some pressure onto our race leader of Aces, who at the moment has had an absolute redemption. Last time I saw him, he was still getting to grips with no assists, but now he is absolutely flying and certainly is a front contender. Sims still on the back, fighting for 7th place. Nothing really materialising up in front. Still through 7. Ferrari, the number 21. Oh, and off though, there goes Tier off into the gravel. He was running a fairly comfortable 4th, maybe even 5th place in the Haas. That is a very easy mistake to make off into the gravel trap, and well, that is his chances of a good result in this race. It completely tarnished as Nathan Clark goes quickest to 105.9 on the back of Aces versus Kings in that Mercedes. DRS has been enabled. He's going to get the benefit of the drag reduction system, an extra 20 kph or so as they go down the second straight towards turn 3. He's going to get the benefit of it as well down towards turn 4. Not quite close enough to go for the move, but he's certainly going to be close enough through the left hand, through the right hand kink. He's going to go all the way to the left hand side to open up this corner and to get the drive down the straight side by side potentially. Is Nathan Clark going to send one to the right hand side, lay it under brace? He certainly has a look. Last of the late breakers, it's going to be Aces that reigns triumphant on that particular occasion through 5 and on the run towards 6. You can definitely tell that Aces under a world of pressure. Multiplex and Sims going side by side a little bit further back, and the Alpine on the outside, the right hand side, but that left hand side, that inside line, the dominant line, propels Sims up into 6th place. Nathan Clark still on the back. Avi getting advantage of the Ferrari of Rick, who really has fallen back off this restart. He was one I was going to say to watch to move forward, but unfortunately for him, he's falling a little bit backwards. DRS open if he wants to launch a counter-attack. Same too with Nathan Clark and Aces. This is the fight we're going to focus on. Just look at how daunting that Williams is in the mirror of a Mercedes in these 2021 cars. That's not something you would have expected, but it certainly is the case in sim racing. Nathan Clark wants that race lead with only 8 laps to go. He's going to move to the right-hand side, brake late up the inside of turn 3, gets the car stopped. Aces forced wide, and he's not going to get the benefit of the DRS to counter-attack. Nathan Clark up into the race lead. Lifeboat, Avi and Rick fighting over the final podium place. It will be Lifeboat as it stands, with Rick's penalty. Amir sets the fastest lap of a 105.6. And as they go through turn 4, Rick leads this train from Lifeboat and Avi 4th and 5th as it stands. 7 laps, as I say, to go, more so 6.5 left in this race. As they go through the left-hander, Ace is still on the back of Nathan Clark, just about hanging on to that DRS range, using a lot of ERS in order to stay there though, which is not what you want to see. 1 bit through the right-hander, fast flick to the right is turn 9, in towards turn 10. You do have to slow it down quite a bit, but you can carry quite a bit of speed. You just got to watch out for the exit. Sims with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Here comes yet another driver. I think about half the grid now have got penalties. Rick under pressure, so too potentially is Nathan Clark. If Aces can put some pressure on, maybe to launch a counter-attack. Same too with Lifeboat. Rick going defensive to the right-hand side. Lifeboat going to go the long way around. 3 abreast as Avi sends one to the inside. You can see Lifeboat doesn't quite get it stopped side by side with Avi on the run. Rick being completely mugged. He's not going to get the benefit of the DRS. In fact, it is his Lifeboat that's been left vulnerable to the right-hand side, and Rick sails back through. Avi says thank you very much. 2 cars in just as many corners, and he's absolutely sailing up into P3. 3 seconds to the front 2, with only a few laps left in this race to go. That's going to be an absolute mammoth task for him to fulfill. But if Aces and Nathan come to blows, Avi's going to be the one to pick up the pieces in towards turn 9. Flick right over the curb, use it to bite the car as we go on to lap 13 of 18. DRS open, the track reduction system once again. It's going to be one of the talking points in Formula 1, especially at a track like Red Bull Ring, where you're on the power for the majority of the lap. Through the right-hander of turn 1, maximise the exit, use that DRS as you climb up the hill towards turn 3. Is Aces close enough? In fact, closes the rear wing, closes the DRS, maybe wants to go for the move towards turn 4 instead. Doesn't want to get counter-attack straight away, up into 3rd gear to get the traction. Nathan Clark with a sensational exit though. Yellow flag through the 1st sector. I think that's Ted off again, and indeed it is off at turn 1. He may as well have kept it going. Indeed he has, so that won't be another full course yellow. Fingers crossed. Touch wood. Rick on the back of Avi, still fighting for that podium place. Bit of wheel banging as they run through the right-hander of turn 5 in towards 6. He has got his nose in front. Side by side go the Ferrari and Red Bull. The Red Bull on the outside. He'll be the outside once again for turn 7. That's going to be a much harder affair for him to fulfill. Tucks back into line. Gets that run towards turns 9 and 10. Rick already defensive. Brings it back to the left-hand side and stays in front. But look at Lifeboat, the advantage he has in terms of the energy deployment. 90% in his battery. Avi only 25. Rick only on 6. He's fighting with every little bit that he's got left, and that's going to leave him so vulnerable as we enter the final third of this race. Nathan Clark still under pressure from Aces. He's weaving left and right, trying to keep the Mercedes from getting into that hole that Nathan is punching into the air. Once again to 1st gear. quite the move that I'd go for. Avi into turn 3, locks up. Rick going to get underneath them, side by side on the exit. DRS open for Rick. That's going to allow him to consolidate this move, potentially Lifeboat as well in the mix. Yellow flags once more. Sims, I believe, has gone round on the exit of turn 3. Rick back into P3 though. He's going to hope that these guys get themselves a penalty in the next couple of laps in order for him to actually finish in 3rd place and take home those points. But Rick, I think, just doing it for a bit of fun, trying to see where he could finish. Meanwhile, all they are doing is losing themselves time to the front two as they grow further and further away, and the likelihood of anyone else other than these two winning grows increasingly unlikely. Through 10 on the outside, make sure to use that curb. Just make sure to use the track to its absolute fullest potential. And towards turn 1, late on the brakes, just after the 100 board, you can see Nath so much more smooth as Avi once again gets in front of Rick. These two going absolute hammer and tongs at it. Rick once again going to try and go for the move down towards turn 3 as Ace is going to be able to go for the move. Has a little bit of a look. Rick come back at him though to the outside. Is Avi going to keep his nose in on the inside? Nope, not quite able to. But yeah, haven't had a moment to breathe. I want to just slow down the pace a little bit, take a breather, but these guys not letting me do it at all. Yellow flags through sector 3. That's Sims, I believe, going around as he pulls his way into the pit lane. Lifeboat on the back of Avi. Rick still in front in P3, but we turn our back to the front too because these guys are on an absolute mission out in front. Lap 15 of 18. 3.5 laps left of the Austrian Grand Prix. Then we have about a 5-minute break before we go again in Spain at the circuit of Barcelona. Catalonia. Do certainly stay around for that. That'll be a reverse grid race. As it stands, it'll be Nathan and Ace is running off in the back row of the grid. And that'll be Simpson and Amir that start the front. So that'll be one to watch for sure. So get your popcorn, get your cups of tea. You know I always say it. Come in and enjoy the ride. I'll still be talking you through the action as Zach Sweeney over on that one. 3 laps left to go as they cross the line. 16 of 18. What a race it has been so far. Ace is still waiting for that opportune moment. Is this going to be it? To the right hand side, he's got the slingshot with the DRS. Down the inside goes Aces in the Mercedes. He's coming right back at him. Nathan Clark around the outside, a little bit over the curb. That's going to tarnish his exit just a little bit. Who's going to get the benefit of the DRS? It's going to be Nathan Clark. They're able to sail around the outside in towards turn 4. And despite Ace's best efforts, Nathan Clark still in the race lead for the time being. Both of them equal in terms of laps on those tyres, so they can't use tyre wear as an excuse. But Aces using a little bit more of that ERS compared to Nathan, who on the last 2 laps, which are going to be very, very vital. He's got more in the chamber. He's got more to use. He's got more locked away in his arsenal to able to consolidate that race victory. He certainly would be an absolute man on a mission to do that one. Not quite sure where he started. We are, apologies, going to just going to double check. Where it was. I think it's here. Indeed it is. Up 12 places as Nathan Clark. Absolutely phenomenal drive. Absolutely phenomenal driver and very, very deserving of this race win, but it's not over yet. 2 laps left to go. Aces right away back onto the offensive to the right hand side in towards turn 3. Up the inside he goes once more. Is it deja vu? Is Nathan Clark going to go the long way around? Indeed he is. This time Aces gives him a bit more of a squeeze, get a better drive off the corner, and this time neither of them get the benefit of the DRS. Aces able to stay in front for now, already defensive to the right hand side. The Williams pulls out late to the left hand side. Is he going to go for the over and under, get the drive off turn 4 through 5? Not quite. Aces stays in the lead. In fact, no, the Williams coming right back at him towards the inside of 6. Side by side go our 2 race leaders. Aces on the long way around. Nathan gives him a wide berth on the outside. Still side by side through 7. And it is once more that Nathan Clark stays in front. Coming on to the last lap of this race. Avi and Rick also side by side. A similar affair going on there. Aces in towards turn 9. Backs out. That's killed his momentum as they go through turn 10. But he's still going to have that DRS. 1 lap to go. 10 more corners left in this Austrian Grand Prix. It comes down to 2, Nathan and Aces. Aces, of course, starting on the front row. Nathan starting on the back. And this final stretch towards turn 3, the final time they're going to climb up the hill. 16% left in the battery. Aces wants to use absolutely all of it. Nathan as well, using everything left in his arsenal. Is Aces going to be able to launch one to the inside? Not quite able to. Yellows through sector 1, as I believe it's Tier that's gone round once more. DRS for Aces for the final time in this race. And Nathan, I think, just about has the margin to hang on, but you know what Ace is like. He's always going to send a move, put that pressure on through 4, practically pushing him through lap 18 of 18, and they are separated by virtually nothing. Rick still leads that fight between himself and Avi, and unfortunately I have to say it was Lifeboat, not Tier, that spun around through turn 1, so Rick will be able to consolidate a higher position because of it. Aces though unable really to fabricate a move on this final lap, and absolute valiant defense from Nathan, a valiant offense from Aces. Both phenomenal drivers, both giving us some phenomenal action, but he rounds the final corner from 13th on the grid. Nathan Clark comes across the line to win the Austrian Grand Prix, followed closely by Aces versus Kings, who started second, finished second, looked good for a dominant lead. Rick comes home on track in P3. It'll be P5 at the flag. In fact, it won't be. It'll be P4 because of Dream's penalty. Womax somehow, despite that strategy, comes home P5. Dream 6th with life out in 7th place. Then comes Moti Pellets and Tier still fighting it out for the final place inside the top 8, side by side, potentially on the run to the line. Both completely out of the VRS. Lifeboat takes the position, but because of penalties, it's going to be Scott that gets himself into 8th. No, Lifeboat and Tier round off the top 10. We'll go through our full results in just a moment. But yeah, absolutely fantastic race. Thanks for the warm welcome back, guys. Driver of the day to Nathan. And I have to certainly agree. Do not go anywhere though, ladies and gents, because we have got the Spanish Grand Prix in a couple of moments. This is how they racked up after 18 laps and 1 safety car here for the Austrian Grand Prix. It was Nathan Clark that took the win from 13th on the grid to take the victory here. Aces from second to second, rounds off in second place with Avi P3. Rick comes home P4 with Rumax in P5. Dream comes home 6th with Moti Pellets in P7. Scott comes home from McLaren in P8 after a pretty shambolic race for them. Lifeboat P9 with Tier running off the top 10. Amir P11 with the fastest lap of the 105.670. Sims P12 with Ted P13 and Bluey as well. Unfortunately DNFing from this race, the two at the back. 13th and 14th, they will start at the back in this race. So it will be Amir and Sims, your front row for the Spanish Grand Prix. Do not go anywhere, ladies and gents. And certainly as all the drivers plummel their way into this YouTube chat, we'll certainly have a good chat. I'm just going to go grab myself a quick drink. I think I do quite deserve one. Ooh, I'm a little bit out of breath for that one. Thanks for the PS4 guys for always giving us some fantastic action. Is always welcomed. Rick, that's probably because my voice is dead, more so than anything. Also, it is a different headset, it's a different mic, so it might be because of that. Or my balls might have dropped. Either way. But yeah. Ooh. Is that better, Rick? It is pretty much. I'm swallowing it, mate. Nah, there we go. I just don't want to hear you make me breathe all the time because I'm a very heavy breather, especially when I'm commentating. That's why I love the PC stuff. It's because I can, well, one, I get paid to do it, but secondly, it's because I have push to talk on. So if I need to just die of coughing or to get a drink, I can just not talk and you can't hear me. It's great. Love it. But yeah. Still waiting to go for the Spanish Grand Prix in a couple of moments' time. I think we are just waiting for a couple more people. We have got NER Elton and Zuba joining the grid as well, which is going to be awesome because NER Elton, champion, of course, of ESRL the previous season. In fairly dominant form as well, it must be said. But yeah, Spain equals pain. Spain without the S, my friend, is how it goes sometimes. That's just how the cookie crumbles. But I certainly am looking forward to it because Austria was a fantastic race. We had, of course, the likes of Aces. Nathan Clark going side by side for a good portion of it. Ace is showing his mettle. Nathan showing his mettle from last on the grid up into P1 at the end of it. But now we've got the champion. And NER Essen is there as well. Zuba's joined us. He is, of course, the champion. He's the people's champion. Sometimes without the E as well. Yeah, you are certainly in spin, especially if there's a gust to win. But NER Essen certainly will put on a show from the back of the grid. He'll fight his way up, I am sure. So too will Zuba, of course. He will be in front of people. Whether it will be with blue flags or not is an uncertainty, but he certainly will be in front of people nonetheless. Oh, good golly. There we go, we're loading in 17 laps of Spain, so still going to be a race of attrition. Getting to the end is going to be one, is going to be something that is going to definitely help in your way more to the front of the grid. As we are readying ourselves up. "13 seconds on the clock as we go towards the loading screen of the Spanish Grand Prix, then the formation up, then the race. We get underway. I'll talk you through the grid order once we get information on that, because I'm not entirely sure what it will be, but we will see. Equal performance, of course, in all these cars, so there's absolutely no excuses whatsoever. I see you, Rick. 2021 Ferrari certainly could have seen better days. You're in it. There's no excuses for it. This is still the old edition of the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, because Codemasters are quite lazy, in all honesty, and didn't want to make the changes. But we do get them on F1 2022, which will be out in a couple of months' time, I do believe. In fact, maybe even a month's time. But I'm not entirely sure. I've not really been keeping up with it. Not even sure if I'll get the game, to be honest. But either way, we'll have to wait and see how that one transpires. As, yeah, because I don't usually have to stand up and commentate for the PS4 anymore, there's an absolute mess where I used to stand, because I don't use this space anymore. However, I am now using it and finding out the hard way that I'm having to climb over absolute mountains of stuff. It is usually just plush toys, to be honest. But yeah, either way, there's my school bag, there's a skateboard that no one uses, there's balls, there's a box. It's great, fantastic, very, very logistically viable as well. But either way, we are here. I need to grab my drink. I need to have a bit closer. I think I'm going to have a heart attack. Oh, doom and gloom over the skies of Catalonia here. Could we have a bit of rain? Potentially. Maybe. Hopefully. We'll see if that's going to spice this race up. 17 laps. Not long for the rain to come down, but if it comes down, it's going to come down hard. Hopefully, anyway. Fingers crossed. Maybe might sprinkle some spice into the mix. Then, again, I am white, so I don't really fancy spice. But either way, actually, no. I'm fantastic with spice. And there's no one in this chat that will say otherwise, because I can deal with spice, especially peri peri. Peri peri. I can do it. I can do it. I'm very good. But anyway, that's besides the point. Me and my spice tolerance is irrelevant. 12 seconds left on the clock. Then we can go through the grid order. 8, 7. Sounds like I'm doing a liftoff for NASA. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Unfortunately, no blast off for that one, and that was quite anticlimactic because all it's going to be is another loading screen as we get ourselves on to the grid. And it is going to be Sims on pole position with Amir alongside there on the front row. Second time in a couple of weeks that we've seen a Ferrari and a Red Bull share the front row here at Spain. Then comes Tyrion P3, Lifeboat P4. Then comes Scott rounds off the top 5, and Motorpredets rounding off the third row of the grid there in 6th place. Dream and Wimax 7th and 8th. They share the 4th row with Rick in P9. Avi rounding off the top 10. Aces and Nathan, your top 2 from the last race, 11th and 12th. Our 2 DNFs of Ted and Bluey, 13th and 14th, with Zuba and NER Ayrton, P15 and 16. They round off on the 8th row of the grid there in P15 and P16 respectfully. This is how the tyres rack up. Everyone, well, actually, pretty mixed. We got Amir on the mediums, Dream on the mediums, Avi and Aces on the mediums, with Bluey and Zuba also on the mediums. A pretty fair split, 2, 2, 2. So, 6 on the mediums. I can do maths. 6 on the mediums, 12 on the softs. That's how they rack up. And some of them going for a dash early on. Some of them going potentially maybe towards some rain. That's why they're on the mediums, to go long and get to the rain before it hits, or to not pit before it hits hard. That could be a strategy. Sims, though, certainly taking some tire life out of those soft tires to get them warmed up. Doing some lovely burnouts. Still trying to do it as well, which is great. Let's get the telemetry and the lap data as well. But Sims got a bit of a gap. Apologies to everyone behind, and the rain has already come down. You can see there on the visor, sprinkles of rain in the mix for this start. Those medium tyres are going to be freezing cold off the launch, and they are going to continue to drop in temperature. Could we see some people pitting on the first lap for intermediate tyres? That could certainly be a shout. We'll have to see how this one goes, but that's how ESRL goes. Sometimes that's the spice that comes with dynamic weather. Sims on pole, Amir alongside. 17 laps will soon be underway as the 5 red lights illuminate themselves, waiting for NERS and at the back of the grid. And the green flag will be waved. 5 red lights will come on. The cars will rev up. They'll drop the clutch, and away they go, barreling themselves down for the longest run between lights and T1 on the Formula 1 calendar. 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 light. 5 red lights to the Spanish Grand Prix. The reverse grid race is underway, and it's a pretty good start, pretty tentative start from everyone else. Sims gets away well. Amir trying to pull alongside, side by side between Tyr and Scott. Scott with a rocket ship of a launch, 3 abreast as they find their way down. Lifeboat trying to make up some places. It's Sims that leads from Amir, Tyr, Scott, Dream, your top 5, with Rick already making up a couple of places. Dream as well going up the inside of Scott, side by side through turn 3. Scott's going to go the long way around though, is he? Yes, he is. Left hand side for turn 4, not quite able to make that one stick as the rain comes down. The driver's having to adapt to changeable conditions. Here comes Lifeboat under and over on Scott. Bit of contact between Rick and Motorpredets. Motorpredets diving it to the inside. Bit of contact. He sends himself spinning on this first lap, and with his tricky, treacherous conditions, it is only to be expected. Rick to the inside of the turn 7 and 8 chicane does get the move done up into 6th place, but Sims with a dominant lead so far over Amir. 1.2 seconds is the gap in towards turn 10. Sims in deep though. That's how it goes as they go through turn 10 in towards 11. Uphill, very difficult in the dry conditions, let alone in the wet. Particularly this sort of strategy, soft to medium or soft to hard. I don't quite think that's how things are going to go, especially if the rain continues to barrel its way down as it is. Wimax and Ted, I think, unfortunately have had some misfortunes off this first lap. Zuba up into P11. NERS and still behind him, his inferior so far in this race, but Sims leads the first lap. Dream on the back of Tyr. Is he going to be able to get himself onto the podium? Potentially so, using some ERS, pulling to the right-hand side to get himself to the inside of turn 1. Gets the car stopped, still side by side with a Haas. Tyr the long way around, the inside for turn 2, the outside for 3. Dream keeps him honest, still side by side, using those soft tyres to good effect. Is Tyr to hold this P3, this podium position, but Lifeboat and Rick are closing in the gap. Dream down the inside, goes in a bit too deep. Tyr says thank you very much, comes right back underneath him, side by side in this short dash towards turn number 5. And once again, Dream goes in deep once more. Tier going to go underneath them once more. A textbook switcheroo, still side by side a little bit further back. Here comes Tier on the inside. Dream going to go the long way round through turn 7 and 8. Through 8, holds the inside, and there goes Dream up into P3. That was a fantastic effort from the Alfa Romeo, and Tier had absolutely nothing to say to that one. Here comes our previous race winner of Nathan Clark once again on a comeback drive to the inside of the turn 10 hairpin, up the inside of 11, bit of wheel banging with Lifeboat as he goes through around the outside of 12. You can see Rick, the Flying Dutchman, waiting in the wings. Nathan Clark around the outside of the chicane. You don't often see action through here, but sim racing, that's the beauty of it. You can get moves pretty much anywhere you ask of it. Side by side through, and then through 16. The final corner onto this back straight is Tier going to get mugged off down in towards turn 1 once more. DRS has been enabled, so still certainly dry enough for slicks, do the race directors deem. Avi in front of Scott, who had got a good start. Aces, unfortunately, into the pit lane. Is this for a front wing? Is this for intermediate tyres? It's for inters, and it's for a new front wing. Is Aces going for a bit of a risk here? NERS and has lost a lot of ground as well in these tricky conditions. I did kind of expect more from the reigning champion, in all honesty. All eyes will be on Aces, though, in terms of how good that pace can hold up. A yellow flag through the final sector. I believe that is for either Bluey or Ted. Either one of them, I will not be surprised about. Sorry, I will stop the slander of Bluey one day. I won't, probably, so I won't promise it. Through turn 9, Lifeboat chasing after Tier still, as Nathan did get himself up into 4th place and now can open his eyes and chase after Dream a little bit, but this rain certainly is coming down as Ted in for Inters as well. You can see they really are struggling, both Tier and Lifeboat in deep. And just look at the gap that Aces can close on NERS, and to see if those tyres are up to scratch. It's not, a drastic amount. He's not losing a drastic amount, but just look, that track is greasy. And you can see Rick trying to go around the outside of turn 14, 15, and into 16. Gets that move done. Very good stuff as, sideways goes Lifeboat right into the barrier. Luckily for him, he is still in this race, but that is a safety car in full effect. And I think everyone is going to barrel their way into the pit lane for at least intermediates, I'm sure. Is this going to be a good strategy from Aces? He's really struggling to get those tyres up to temperature or to get them going. NERS and into the pit lane. I'm going to take a sit down during this safety car period to give my legs a bit of a break, because that's how I roll. Very professional, I know. And into the pit lane for softs, inters, maybe either. And he is, he's onto the soft, so not confident that this rain is going to come down too much more. And just going back to my pre-race comments, I do not suck with Spice. I'm fantastic with Spice, and I was not lying to you. I'd never lie to you, guys. I'm a reliable commentator. I'm good at my job, I hope, and I would never lie to you. So, anonymous comment, who shall not be named. That was unnecessary. Thank you. Simps leading the way from Amira in 2nd place with Dream rounding off the podium. Then comes Nathan Clark in Tier 4 from 5th. Rick P6 with Avi P7. Scott in P8 with Lifeboat P9. NERS and the reigning champion in P10 with Zuba P11. Wimax P13. Moti Perez in P13. Aces coming back in P14. He's decided to go back onto the softs and has deemed that the rain is not quite hard enough for this race. But we have had a large influx of people into the pit lane. Is anyone going to take the gamble on 2 intermediate tyres? I am curious. What tyres are these? These are the inters. They are confident that the rain is going to come down, or at least Nathan Clark is. So too is Rick, Tier, Avi and Scott. So too is Lifeboat as well. Simps and Amir and Dream all stay out to stay behind the safety car. So this is going to be a battle of 2 decisions. Come in for inters, stay out on slicks. Does the rain come down? Does the rain stay the same? That is going to be the crucial turning point in this race. Whether the rain comes down harder, those on slicks will then struggle. And Savvy has retired from the session. How? Is what I want to ask. Did he spin at turn 3? They are struggling on those inters. They have no grip out there. And yeah, Avi found that out the hard way. His ego's barreling into the wall. They need to hope that under this safety car, that rain comes down, and it comes down hard, and it comes down quickly to put some standing water onto that circuit. Because if it doesn't,
But yeah, this is going to be an interesting one, especially when we go green. Have some of these guys made the wrong decision? Because this would bump up NARS and up into P3. Of course, he's got a lot of track distance to cover between them. And that was a car off. That was Lifeboat going for a spin. Amir as well has retired from the session. So both Red Bulls out. Amir, what happened? Spun into the pit lane. So too did Scott into the barrier as well. He's followed him in. That is interesting. That's more debris onto the circuit. As what happened to Sims? Sims is in for intermediate, so too is Dream. They're both in for inters as well. They deem it to be a little bit too wet. So Nathan taking the right decision there. Takes the on-track race lead with Tyr behind. Rick up into P3. Without a penalty this time as well, it might be crucial to add. But Nathan Clark might have pulled an absolute wildie. Might go for 2 wins in a row here for the ESRL Sprint Series. That rain has come down, and this is going to be the separation between the good and the great. The boys from the men. 3 turns 7 and 8. And the safety car is still out. Bird Minelander earning his paycheck, doing a lot of laps. We spent a good portion of this race under a safety car. And you have to accept my apology because I am absolutely shattered. Safety car is in this lap finally, which means I am going to get up. I have to get up, which I am vastly against because, well, I'm lazy, quite frankly, and do quite like sitting out. However, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Nathan will lead them round. He becomes the effective safety car and will hold the pace. There's Tyr and Rick and Simps behind Dream and P5. With Zuba still out there on 6. Same tune with Wumax. Both AlphaTauri's taking a gamble. Maybe they're hoping that this rain ceases. Or not, because I think Zuba's gone round. I think maybe he has always conceded the position to Lifeboat. Either way, we're going green very soon as Nathan Clark will lead them round. He's got between now and the timer line to punch it. Is he going to wait for the straightest line possible? Because if he lights up those rears in these conditions, he's certainly going to be finding himself into the barrier, waiting and waiting and waiting. He's caught Tyr out. We go green once more for the Spanish Grand Prix, side by side between the two Ferraris. 3 abreast as Dream tries to make some places as well. Nathan having to duck his dive his way through. Tyr looking for the inside, goes to the right hand side down and towards turn 1. Nathan Clark going to sail his way around the outside. Rick manages to hang on, but he's got his teammate Sims on his inside. Quickly becomes the outside of turn 2. The inside for 3 for Sims, though, who's certainly making his way up, and he's not being a sim for his teammate at all. Is the man now up into P3, but Tyr just unable really to consolidate that race, that race win and move potentially. Dream on the inside of Rick quickly becomes the outside of turn 4. He's going to have to go the long way around. Very tricky in these tricky conditions. Has to stay behind it for now. Rick stays in P4, but for how much longer, you have to argue. Is it a matter of if, or is it a matter of when? Because that car is very much sideways. And Nathan, I think this could be a dominant runaway victory because already he's pulled over nearly a second to Tyr behind, who's really struggling to stay on the back of the Williams. Running wide through turn 10 as well, in towards 11. Sims will make his way forward. And this could be a Sims change in fortune from Austria. Could get himself onto the podium. Could fight for the race lead. 10 laps left of the Spanish Grand Prix. We've done 7. We tick on towards 8. No DRS, of course, because these inters and DRS do not mix well at all. Towards turn 1. Dream on the outside of Rick towards turn 1 once more. Tyr with a penalty. Under pressure from Sims, who has to go off the circuit through turn 2. That's going to halt his progress just a little bit, but Tyr goes a little bit wide towards Turn 4, T goes in deep. That's going to allow Sims to get underneath him, maybe have a side-by-side moment towards turn 4. Indeed they are. Is Sims going to go the long way around? He has to brake late, or he's going to let T do the hard work for him. Lets him go in deep, gets the drive off the corner, has got a fantastic run towards turn 7 and 8. Uses a bit of ERS, just a pinch to get himself up the inside and towards turn 9 once again. 1.8 seconds, the gap between Sims, who's on the charge, and Nathan Clark, the man who's absolutely flying, but Sims, a 3-second time penalty. It's not going to be good, but Nathan Clark clearly struggling with these conditions. Sims seems to have tamed them just a little bit better. You have to argue, but with only 9 laps left of this race. Oh, Sims. Oh, that was close. Very, very close indeed. As they go through 14, 15, this awkward chicane that no one likes at all, and would rather just be abolished. Really, the circuit probably wouldn't be as bad at all. Wouldn't be anywhere near as bad without that chicane. But hey ho, produces good racing. Apparently, it doesn't at all. Sims lost over a second to Nathan on that lap. The gap now 3 seconds, which is something Sims is going to need to close and then pull on Nathan in order to win this race, and that's going to be a mammoth task. But the man currently second place knows his way around a circuit, knows what he's doing. Bluey with a 3-second time. I know we haven't checked in with Bluey much actually in this race. Let's see how he's getting on. He's 1 minute 20 behind the next car of Moti Perez. And he's got himself a 3-second penalty. Right on board with him. Hopefully we won't jinx him. If I called it the commentator's cast, Lewis McGlade would fire me and I'd never get a job again in commentary. So I will call it the commentator's coincidence. In the sense that if he spins while I'm watching him, it's all a coincidence. Well, I guess commentator's coincidence doesn't quite flow off the tongue as well as commentators curse. Dream, though, will unfortunately have to burden Bluey no more because Rick and Dream are fighting as they close the gap towards Tyr. The Aston Martin of NERSN as well, someone who I thought really would carve his way towards the front of the field. Indeed is doing so to some extent as he goes up the inside of Lifebow up into 6th place and can see the next 2 cars only a couple of seconds up the road, 1.5 seconds to be precise, as we come on to lap 10 of 17. Dream on the back of Rick. These moves in the wet conditions are going to be hard to come by. Rick defensive to the right hand side. He's covered off the favourable line, but we've seen before that's not always the favourable way to go. Dream gets squeezed by Rick. Bit of contact. Dream's being sent off by the Ferrari, by the Dutchman, who now rejoins in front of him, and Dream has to settle in behind NERSN, also closing in on this fight. He seems to be the one to have tamed these conditions, which is to be expected after his dominant form in the previous season of ESRL. On the back of Dream. Very sideways, and always I say he's into the barrier. Oh, that is such a shame for the champion. Scares Lifebout off into the gravel as well, who's just a passenger trying to avoid that barrier as he goes through. And NERSN quickly gets that place back up into P6, but yeah, well, I probably shouldn't have said anything. I said he was taming these conditions. Straight away he goes off. Something that I've literally just done on the Raceboard TV Friday night prime time. Literally said, he's waiting for a mistake to happen. What happens? He makes a mistake. Down and towards turn 10. He hasn't lost too much time, and these guys keep on fighting. He will certainly gain a little bit more. But Rick, this time around, has got the advantage in that he is yet to get himself a penalty. And they are closing on Tyr in front. So it has to be that a podium for Rick is highly likely in this race. 4.3 seconds the gap between the race leader and second place of Sims. I really was hoping that he could go and catch just a little bit better, but that hasn't unfortunately been the case. Nathan Clark, though, can't take anything away from him. He is certainly on course to take a second win in a row. A little bit further back we have got yellow flags because Zuba's off, to the surprise of I think absolutely nobody. Leaves the place to Aces and his teammate Wumax. And Bluey, he unlaps himself, and that's when you know it's bad, is when Bluey has the opportunity to unlap himself. Even just to be near you on circuit really is an insult if it's Bluey involved. Ricky deep, that means Dream can close the gap. Can he do it though? That is the question. Through 9 on the back straight towards 10. To the inside potentially, not quite close enough. Still there though, practically pushing him through. Rick goes in a little bit deep, it's sideways and squirrely on the exit as they go in towards turn 11. Luckily for him, that corner comes at you quite quickly, so he doesn't have to defend for long, but the pressure piling on certainly from the Alfa Romeo, who certainly seems quick. Lap 12 of 17 now started by our race leader Nathan Clark, out in front by 5 seconds. Rick under a world of pressure. Dream certainly a lot closer. Yellow flags once more through sector 2. That might be Zuba. That might be Womack. Not entirely sure. Either way, we got a fight for P4 as Dream is once again on the outside of Rick as they barrel their way. Slight downhill drop towards turn 1. Rick says, no, you don't. So, NER Dream going to go to the underneath them. NER Essen. Speaking of whom, down in P6. 4.5 seconds back. I think he may have picked up some end plate damage in his meeting with Barrier. Which, yeah, as nice as Barrier is, you can definitely go see him for a spot of tea and crumpets. He is certainly quite an aggressive fellow if you cross him wrong, and certainly hit him with the wrong angle. Renowned boxer, I hear, and he has got quite the good right hook to the face, and I think that's a fate that NER Essen has suffered. I've just had a poster fall onto me as well to the left hand side of myself, which is great. Dream still on the back of Rick. I will certainly have to put this poster back up because it's my brother's, and you probably won't be too grateful that I've knocked this poster down. I haven't knocked this poster down, it's just fallen off. Gravity is the main cause of that one. That's where I'm going to put it down to. My commentator's diagnosis. Through 13, and Dream going to send one to the inside of 14, not quite, in fact he is. Rick gives him the space, bit of contact to the front right tyre of Dream and the left side pod of Rick. 13 of 17, not long left in this Spanish Grand Prix, a very moist and wet Spanish Grand Prix. Dream and Rick still fighting it out to the inside of turn 1 this time for the Alfa Romeo. A bit of a lock-up as Rick gives him in a world there's just a massive squeeze, in all honesty, through turn 2 and turn 1. That complex. Rick hanging on by the skin of his teeth as NER Essen, I think, has given up on that front wing. As for, no, the punch to the face from Barry was too big. He needs an ice pack, he needs a wet paper towel. And it's come in for exactly that, and his wet paper towel is a new front wing for some aerodynamic grip, which is a necessity in these wet conditions. Through 8, up the hill to 9. Couple of penalties up in front. Apologies, again, it is getting late. I'm not entirely sure how late it is. I think it's like 10:30 or something. Let me check. It is indeed 25 to. Close enough, give or take 5 minutes. 5 minutes is nothing. And there's through 11 or 12. Sorry, I do apologise. Getting my corner names mixed up. Corner names, corner numbers. Not really any corners on the track here at Catalonia that I need to be aware of. I think it's not that memorable of a circuit, so there's no point in giving giving the corners names. It's not quite world renowned like Silverstone, Spa or Hockenheim. But Dream, unfortunately, not quite close enough to go for the move this time around. He's going to have to sit idle and wait. Watch and wait. Analyse his opponent, and NER Essen with a 3-second penalty. This race certainly could have gone better for the champion, the Aston Martin. He's on the back of Scott, only 1.1 seconds back, but the McLaren hasn't got a penalty, so it'll be a tough ask in only the few laps that we've got left of this race. Only 3.5 of them to go. Counting them down, Nathan Clark will certainly want this race over sooner rather than later. Through 8 and 9. NER Essen on the back of Scott. This should be a pretty easy affair for the Aston Martin as Scott parks it on the inside of turn 3. Going to maybe go defensive towards 4. NER Essen, they're going to give him a bit of a push. Sends him in deep. Wheel onto the grass. That's very, very sketchy. NER Essen says, okay, fair enough. I'd give you a bit of a tap there. I'm going to stay behind for the time being. But these two, Rick and Dream, catching onto the back of Tyr, who has got a penalty. Dream, though, apologies, completely choked on my own saliva. It's great. Fantastic. Giving you all the details Here comes Wumax to the inside of Scott. He's got himself in front of NARS as well. These guys giving us a nice little battle to the inside of turn 9. Is Wumax going to go for the move? No, he's not. Is NARS going to set up an absolute worldie of a switchback? Yes, indeed he does. Gets the drive off the corner up into 8th place for now. Is he going to send the move on Scott? Going to go the long way around? Not quite. We got 4 cars in the mix here for P7. And Scott heads the train. All aboard the McLaren train as Wumax and Aces fight this one out. Unfortunately, it's not for a position a little bit higher up. They're broken off into their own little couplets now with Scott and NARS, Wumax and Aces. Checking in for the fight for P4. Is Dream close enough? Not quite. 3 laps left to go. 15 of 17. Aces picks himself up a 3-second time penalty as well for good measure. Here comes NARS. And is he just playing around with the food? Is he giving Scott a bit of a tease? Maybe so. That is certainly a high likelihood. Scott in deep. NARS going to set up the cutback side by side through turn 2. Side by side through turn 3. The long way around. This is going to be difficult in the wet weather. NARS though plays with the throttle, dances the car around the outside, sails it around the outside, I guess you could say, quite literally in these wet conditions. And, well, got himself up into 7th place for good measure. It won't last long because of his penalty. He'll lose both places to Scott and Wumax. But still, that's besides the point. It's the on-track merit that counts most. All very sideways from Dream there. That's going to cost him his run on Rick. And on the penultimate lap of this race, 16 of 17, our race leader Nathan Clark leads by 4.7 seconds over Sims in P number 2. Sector 3, yellow flags. I think that's Multiplex going slowly. Certainly the Alpine has seen better days. And through turn number 4 into numero 5. I had to recall some of my year 7 Spanish there. Was 7 and 8. 9. Sí, hablo español. Should do some commentary in Spanish. It won't last very long. 6/10 between Rick and Dream. Rick goes in deep though. That's going to invite the Alfa Romeo maybe to have a bit of a look side by side through 11 and 12. The Alfa Romeo going to go the long way round potentially. Yes, indeed he is. The Flying Dutchman going to give him a nice wide berth on the outside. The Alfa Romeo still keeping him honest though. Side by side, forced off the circuit by the Ferrari. Back up the inside. Goes in a little bit too deep. Rick going to set up the under and over twice for good measure. And here he goes, gets the move done. We have got big shot Lewis McGlade in the chat. He's just come off the back of working for Race Room themselves. Bit of side-by-side contact between Rick and Dream as they both fight down towards turn number 1 and 2. This time Dream on the outside. Rick going to give him a bit more space this time around over the curb of turn 2. That's not really where you want to put your car. Is Dream going to try it once more around the outside? We know how Dutch people like to give room on the outside, and the fact of the matter is that they don't. Bit of side-by-side action once again. Rick gives him the squeeze. Down the inside of 4 goes Dream. Rick goes back underneath him, gets the switcheroo, the run towards turn number 5. The Ferrari on the outside line. Dream, though, consolidate this race, this move. Rick trying to get underneath him. Bit of sideways action there from Dream. But I don't think Rick quite has the run. In fact, he does to the inside of 7 and 8. Side by side. Dream's been sent round. Oh, that is a shame. And what an anticlimactic end. Pulls himself onto the circuit. Whoa, into the front end of Zuba. Head on between the two. And on the final lap of this race, that is not what you like to see at all. I did not say he was bad. Okay. Either way, here's Nathan Clark for 2 wins in a row. He's dominated this race from the safety car restart. He wins the Spanish Grand Prix with Sims coming home there in 2nd place and Tier a few seconds later in P3. And that is a rejoin that Lewis McGlade certainly will not be a fan of. Similar, I think, to Thea Mercurius in a certain Monza race for round 3 of a certain championship as well, as you recall. Rick comes home to round off in P4 with Lifebout. Well, because of Tier's penalty, Rick comes home P3, so it's a 2-3 for Ferrari. You ill sounding in such difference. Well, it's the new headset, and of course, my voice is dead because I've just done Friday Night Primetime with DJ, and of course, had Austria, which was an exciting race. But yeah, Yeah, Friday Night Primetime was a fantastic race actually. Me and DJ loved that. Great way to round off the season of IRA 4 action. Honestly, was really looking forward to the Friday Night Primetime. But no, sounding a touch different, probably because of the microphone, probably because of the PlayStation. Sounding like it's going to take off in the background, probably because my voice is dead. Either way, it's one of the above. Probably all of the above. Maybe. Who knows? Waiting for the final couple of people to join and get themselves to the checker flag. It's Bluey, P11. Probably a career best finish for him, I would imagine. It is Bluey after all. Finishing second last is probably a step up from finishing last. This comes Moty Pradette sideways through turn 12. And waiting for him to crawl his way down. I don't think the wet conditions particularly are favourable for Moty Pradette in any stretch of the imagination. Wide through turn 16. He's only got one more corner left to go. And he's going to bring it home for 12th place. 4 DNFs in this race. In fact, is he even going to get across the line? He isn't. Retired from the session, but he did complete 90% of the race distance, so he will be classified down in P12. The final running of the grid. Once again, Nathan Clark getting driver of the day. Have to once again very much agree. A sensational drive today for both the Austrian and Spanish Grand Prix. Here's how they racked up after 17 laps of racing. If you can even call it that, more just single file conga line. To be honest, that rain was treacherous. But after the 17 laps, it was Nathan Clark that consolidated a second victory in a row for the ESRL Sprint Series. He won the race from 12th on the grid. Sims there in second place with his teammate Rick in a P3. The Ferraris taking home a 2-3 and the fastest lap of a 1:21.30. Tier P4 with Lifeback running off the top 5 NARS and the Dane rounding off in 6th place. Expected a little bit more from the reigning champion in all honesty. Then comes Dream and Womack 7th and 8th with Aces in P9. Scott rounds off the top 10 with Blue and Moty Pradette, the last of those that finished. Then comes Zuba, Amir, Avi and Ted rounding off in 13, 14, 15th and 16th. None of them made it through the checkered flag, unfortunately. But that rounds off, unfortunately, ladies and gents, our action here tonight. We had 2 races. The Austrian Grand Prix, an absolute banger. The Spanish Grand Prix, a race of attrition, a race of split-second decisions. And those are the races that can certainly define the good from the great. I have been your commentator, Zach Sweeney, and I hope you have enjoyed. You will get the lovely, soothing voice of Ghost back next week. Fingers crossed. If not, I may just have to come back and step in for Scott once more. But it has been an absolute pleasure. Very warm welcome back to PS4. And yeah, after a bit of a break from you guys to go over to the PC stuff. But yeah, thank you very much for having me. The driver's done a fantastic job. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Take care. Have a good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are watching in the world. I've been Zach Sweeney. This has been ESRL, the Sprint Series. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.